Welcome everyone. Chris, we got people from all our region, Dubai, Pakistan, Nigeria, Botswana, Mauritius, and Bahrain. Our friend Safa. So I'm very pleased, and I was sharing with Chris before, I'm very curious to discover how to get business out of my brain. This is where I am now in my business myself. So I'm very pleased to introduce to you an EO member, which has been EO member for the last 13 years, and who will help us to get our business out of our brain. And without any further introduction, I'll let Chris to get things out of our brain as from now. So Chris, the floor is yours. Thank you very much to be with us this afternoon. We are very curious to learn more about your topic.
Thank you so much, Eric. And thank you, Alex, as well, for helping organize everything. It's so nice to meet all of you. I feel like the world keeps getting smaller. And so if any of you are in the US, especially Arizona, where I'm from, please reach out. I love meeting with other EO members. But today, we're going to talk about how to get your business out of your brain. And before we do that, I'll share a quick video. So here we go.
So I'm here with Chris Ronzio, the founder and CEO of one of the hottest software startups in Arizona.
Joining us now is Trainual CEO Chris Ronzio. Chris, welcome to Yahoo Finance.
Chris is an entrepreneur at his core. He's the CEO of the business Trainual, and he and his team are in the trenches of helping businesses document responsibilities, clarify roles, and scale effectively.
Now, I built and sold my own company, helped hundreds of other entrepreneurs through consulting, and then with Trainual, helped thousands of companies around the world build their business playbook. This guy just wrote a book on business playbooks. If you can organize what you do and really make it clear who does what, and then you can document how you do those things, that is the foundation for scaling any business.
If you're having employees work for you and they're not writing down what they do, it's like you're renting their salaries.
The CEO of a software company who has found a very enticing way to retain workers, and workers like this. Chris Ronzio, listen.
If you pull that person out 9 months in, it's much more expensive to replace.
But I think it's actually kind of genius. And he also says it shows that you're really committed to the company. I like it.
This is my third business, and after fumbling through the first one, I made sure to pay attention to work-life balance and that sort of thing.
You gotta look at everything that you're doing and figure out what the scalable thing you're doing is. And everyone has one of those little things.
So investing in your systems, people need to understand, is not a cost, it's an investment. If you're not willing to fund your idea, why would someone else? Thank you for spending your time here with us. Damon, thanks so much.
All right, so get your business out of your brain. That was just a quick snapshot of who I am. I'll talk more about my story, but getting your business out of your brain is why we're here. I was actually speaking to another EO chapter before I started Trainual, which is the company that I founded, that I'm the CEO of now. But another EO member in the group was saying during a Q&A, we were talking about how do you actually remove yourself from the business? How do you make the business run without you? And as he sat there thinking about it, he said, I wish I could just get my business out of my brain. And I loved that phrase. And so that's what I've called my presentation ever since. We registered a trademark around it. And I think it's a great way to put a frame around what we'll talk about today. So I wanted to mention, I jumped on the call with Alex and Eric right before we started. We just did a case study about one of our clients out in Mauritius. And so, we're fortunate to work with people all over the world, but the world really is getting smaller. And so from here in Arizona, where I am, I'm happy to be presenting to all of you and building relationships with all of you. So I want you to imagine if you were out in Arizona visiting me, if you took a break from your business, and you came out, you flew out across the world to Arizona, where we have, the beautiful sunsets and the cactus, the cacti and the Grand Canyon. If you came here and got away from your business, what would happen to your business while you're gone? Now, let's just imagine that you got stuck here. All the planes stopped flying and you had to just be disconnected from the business for the next couple of years. What would happen to your business? Would it Number one, crumble and just cease to exist and break down by the end of the year. Number two, would it just kind of slowly sink? You know, maybe it would be okay for a couple months, but without generating any new business, the business would just start to shrink and decline. Or would you just be out here hiking the Grand Canyon with me and living your best life, and you don't even have to worry about the business because it just funds the lifestyle that you want? I'd love to hear in the chat, 1, 2, or 3. Are you crumbling by the end of the year, slowly sinking, or living your best life? Tell me in the chat, 1, 2, or 3. Two, 4. Wow, Ganesh, that is next level. I love that. All right, well, most EO members that I talk to are somewhere in the middle. They're like a 2, or you know, they're still trying to figure it out, those last building blocks. Well, in my first company, when I decided I wanted to sell the business, I took about 6 to 12 months to get every last responsibility off my plate so that I could sell the business and step out of that business. And so if that's where you're at in that 2 to 3 range, then we'll definitely talk about that today. Okay, so I'll start a little bit with my story. So I started my first company when I was 14 years old. It was a video production company, and we filmed live sporting events around the United States. So I had a partner that would film the events, and then we would collect orders and ship videos all around the world to parents and coaches and scouts. As I went to college, I would edit those videos from my dorm room in this kind of setup, and then I would drive home on the weekends and ship VHS tapes and DVDs to customers again around the world. And as that business built, we opened 3 offices in the United States. We did some really cool international events in synchronized swimming, figure skating, football, baseball. And we hired over 300 camera operators to film events for us in every state across the United States. So the way that we were able to package together who we were, how we did things, was a collection of all of these different tools at the time. Maybe you've used some of these tools. So we had Dropbox folders of our standard operating procedures. We had an internal WordPress site that we would host some training on. We had CRMs to manage who was capable of doing what. We had email templates. We had a forum for discussion, and we got the job done. And so in 2013, I was able to sell that business and start my second company, which was a small consulting firm. So at the consulting firm, we helped other growing businesses document what they did and package it together in an operations manual. So what I saw was that every business, every growing business at some point wants to step out of the day-to-day of what they're doing, either to take on new responsibilities in their business or to work on something that's more interesting. So as we did this work over and over, we thought there should be a tool that can help with this, and we invented Trainual. So Trainual is just a software that people from over 25,000 companies use around the world in 183 countries, and they've documented over 1 million policies and processes about their business. And so the content from today's presentation is the best practices across all of those businesses, the common denominators, the things that everyone is writing down about their company. And what we call it is a business playbook, which is also the name of my book that you saw in the little opening there. So let me break down what a business playbook is, what it contains. First is a profile of your business. So just like you may have a social media profile, or maybe some of you have a dating profile, you have a profile for your business. This is who is your business? What is your ideal customer? What are the products and services that your business offers? What is the story of your company, the history, your mission, your vision, your values? And what is the culture that makes you unique from someone in the same space as you? Next, you've got your people. People, even at competitive companies, are very different. And those people have different roles and different responsibilities, and they're organized into different teams and locations and departments. But if I joined any of your businesses, learning about your people would be one of my main focuses to get up to speed. Next, there are policies. There are some legally obligated policies. There are some policies that are just the way we do things around here. And those are the expectations that you're setting with your employees. And then finally are your processes. And your processes are the how-tos, the step-by-step procedures, or the standard operating procedures. And so if you combine all of these things, the profile of your company, a clear guide to your people, a handbook of your policies, and a collection of your processes, all of that together makes up your business playbook. And it's the business playbook that empowers us to be really free from the day-to-day in our businesses. So you can be living your best life, for those of you that aren't a 4 like Ganesh. All right, so today we're going to cover a few important principles just to level set. We'll talk about where to get started if you haven't done this before in your company. We'll go through building your profile, the who's who or the people, the rules or your policies, and then doing things the same way every time, which is your processes. But I want to start with a quick question, which is, of what I've talked about so far, your policies, processes, people, profile, what percentage of your company, of your playbook would you say is documented? If you had to guess, again, put in the chat, what percentage of your playbook is documented? It's 0%, very honest. Sahil. 60% from Ganesh. 50%, I do. Aditya, 60%, 30%. Okay, 70%. Amazing. I'm going to paste a link here into the chat as well. This is a link to some worksheets that I came up with that you could either use to follow along as we're going through this, or you can fill it out after or hand it to a team member of yours as a reminder of some of this content. Now, you said 60, 60, 0, 40, 50. Those are all really good numbers. So the first principle I want to talk about is this idea of do it, document it, delegate it. Because a question I get asked a lot is, what should we document in our business? Should it be everything? Should 100% be documented in the company? Well, in any business, you go through this process where first you learn to do something, and you're doing it in an experimental way at first because you're trying to figure it out. But then once you figure it out and you're doing that thing consistently over and over again, you can document it. Now you can write down the instructions for how you do it. And once you've got the instructions, now you can delegate it or hand it to someone else and know that those instructions will be followed. But where a lot of businesses go wrong here is they try to document things before they're consistent, when they're theoretical. And if you write down instructions before you know the way to do something, those instructions will be thrown away. Have you ever written down a process or sent someone instructions and then it's out of date in a couple of weeks? Well, maybe it was premature to write down those instructions. And so what I believe is that if you've got about 50 to 60% of your company documented, then you're in great shape. That's what we should be striving for, because businesses change so frequently that the rest of the percent that's not documenting is innovation. And that's great. That's what we want to be doing, is innovating. That's in that do it phase. And then the content that's documented is the rest, the part of your business that's really stable. The great thing about this is as you delegate material to someone else, they improve how it's done and they improve the instructions, and this becomes a cycle. And so the first principle here is don't write the way until there's a right way. Don't write down the instructions until there is an instruction set that works in the business. And if you're not there yet, focus on that. Next question I'll ask you is, if you wanted to build some wealth in real estate, would you buy or would you rent? Not a trick question. You can shout it out if you've got your mic on, or put it in the chat. Buy or rent? Buy or rent? If you want to build wealth, rent, buy. Okay, kind of an even split. So a lot of people, at least here where I'm from, would say that if you want to build an asset, you want to buy the asset and watch it appreciate over time. If you're spending money on rent, then that money kind of disappears when you move out of the property. And so by buying the property, you actually have something to show for those dollars that you're spending. Now think about all of the people that work for you. And if those people that you're paying payroll and salaries to leave your business, do you have something to show for it? And so capturing what your employees know in a playbook is the equivalent of buying real estate. And if you're not capturing what they know, you're renting their salaries. So simple principle here, but we should be documenting everything that everyone in our company is learning while we're paying them. Because as they get better at their jobs, we want to write that down for the next person when they leave. And then the last principle I'll share here is more from an employee's standpoint. So when I was doing consulting, I worked with hundreds of different businesses, and one was a school, a preschool. And I went in and spoke with one of the teachers while the kids were taking a nap. And I asked the teacher, why have you been here for so long? She said, I've had so many offers to leave, to make more money, to get a better job, but I stuck it out. I stayed here. I thought she was a loyal employee. And she said, no, if I left, this place would fall apart. And so she felt captive in the business because without her, the business couldn't really operate. And so the lesson for our employees on why they should write down what they do is that if they want to grow, if they want to take the next step in their career or make more money with you, they need to let go of the lower level responsibilities that they do. And that's what documentation unlocks for us. So 3 simple principles. Don't write the way until there's a right way. Make sure that we're collecting the knowledge from our people and not renting their salaries. And to grow, everyone in the business needs to be able to let go of their responsibilities. Okay, so where do we start? Where is the place in your business to start? So you're probably all familiar with ROI, return on investment, especially this group. And what I think you get the biggest return on your investment for is the content that applies to the most number of people in your business. So in all of our companies, there is company-wide information that everyone needs to know. That is the first thing that you document. And then you take a look at your biggest department. Which department has the largest number of people? And they have content that is shared that they all need to know. Then which team is the largest? And then which position or role in the company do you have the most number of people in? And so you start writing down the content by the number of people that it will impact. The way that the book is organized is in the same way. So first thing, your profile, the mission and vision of the company, your culture, your product, services, that applies to everyone in the business. Everyone in the business needs to know their coworkers. And then as you get down into policies and processes, it's a little bit more granular. And so let's talk first about your company profile. When I went to university outside of Boston, Massachusetts, here in the US, I went to a school called Bentley University. And before I started, 3 months before I started school, I was invited out with all of the other incoming freshmen to tour the campus, to understand where my classes were, to meet my professors. And I left that experience with the hat on and the shirt on, and I couldn't wait to come back to school in the fall semester. And I think a lot of us have probably had those kind of experiences. And so what to document first is that experience, your orientation for your business from the beginning to the end. And so I'm going to break down what that includes for your company, and then I'll be looking for a volunteer. So first in your orientation is a really simple welcome to the company. Every single person that starts at your business should get the same welcome by you or by someone else in your company to the business. Because especially as you hire more and more employees, you may not be there every day that the new person starts. You may have people that are remote and you can't meet them in person. And so does every person get the same welcome? For us at Trainual, it's a simple video that we share that says, welcome to the company. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Chris Ronzio, the founder of the company. And if you're watching this video, it means that you've accepted an opportunity to work with us at Trainual. I can't wait to meet you and to work with you and to tell you about everything that we're up to. In the coming weeks, you'll get to know all about the business. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, you can reach me at chris@trainual.com. I'll see you soon. A really simple video, 30 seconds like that, shows your new hires that you're expecting them, that you're excited that they're coming. And that's really the first piece to a great orientation. After that is your mission and vision and values. Vern Harnish with EO and Gazelles has incredible materials about this. Gino Wickman with Traction has incredible materials. It's in my book as well. But every company should have a mission that they're out to achieve, a vision that drives them, and values that are shared behaviors between their employees. And this is something you want to share very upfront. Next, if I met with any of you, I would ask you as probably the first question, how did you get started? Why this business? What made you leave your last job or your last business to start this company? And it's funny that as our businesses grow, we don't tell that story to all the people that we hire. They come in with a snapshot of what we do today without the history of what got us to today. And so telling your founding story is a really simple thing to get everyone on the same page. What we sell. So all of you have a menu of products or services, and you want your employees to have a shared language around what you offer, what you sell. And so describing your products, services, and your price point is an important thing to get them started. And finally, our business model. And that's from start to finish. How does this business operate? How do we make money at a really high level that everyone should understand? This is not all of your processes in a really detailed fashion. This is just an introduction to here's how we market and get leads. Here's how we sell those leads and close those deals. Here's how we deliver on the services or products that we provide. Here is how we engage with our customers to keep them around long term. And here is what they pay us and how they pay us to make sure that the business operates sustainably. It's your model in one page. And that's an important piece to describe. So I'm going to ask for just a quick volunteer to do just an intro to their company. Can I have a volunteer raise your hand or type in the chat?
I can if nobody is volunteering.
Perfect. I didn't see whose mouth was moving. So is that Ganesh?
Yep, I can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So can you give us just a 20-second, 30-second welcome to a new employee? Just very quick. So pretend I'm your new employee.
So I have a spotlight in real terms. Okay, so we are a shopper marketing and brand activation agency with a larger focus on consumer engagement. And when I say this, I mean our marketing efforts are on the last mile to help convert sales for our brands and customers we work for.
Perfect. And if you hired me and I just accepted the job offer, can you give me one of those 20-second welcomes to your business?
Say again, how will that be different?
So what you told me was what your company does, which is great.
Yeah.
But if you could just say, I'm excited you're here. Here's what you'll experience in the next couple of weeks. Here's how to reach me if you need anything. It's the more personal side.
Okay. So, okay, cool. So welcome. Finally, happy to have you on board. Here's your seat. For the next 1 week, we will take you through an induction process of company commercial financial things and what we do. After that, we'll throw you into the river and expect you to start running straight on the road. No, that's not what I would say.
But that was a good draft. I mean, other than throwing them in the river.
The first few words were like, okay, the first few would obviously be something like what I do normally. So welcome finally on board. So here's your JD. We'll take you through the company processes and the procedures in the next few days. Once you're onboarded, you'll have your email access and etc. We'll take you through a client orientation and your job orientation. We'll handhold you for a few days. And then from there on, you will lead, and we are accessible at any point of time you require. So please reach out.
Perfect. Very good. Thank you so much for the demo there. So what I wanted to give as an example, and thank you again, Ganesh, the documenting your business does not have to just be writing down content. And a lot of times when we think of processes and writing down processes, we think of a document, writing down a Word doc, a Google Doc, but documentation is recording in any format. And so what Ganesh just did there was recording in a quick video format part of the introduction to his orientation. And so a little piece of his business is recorded, and that welcome is now the same and consistent for every new employee. And so these are just some other tools you can use for recording what's on the screen and for incorporating that into your playbook. Thanks again, Ganesh. All right, next let's talk about your people. So all of your people have different roles and responsibilities, different backgrounds and biographies, different stories, and different purposes for why they're a part of your business. And so what we do is build a directory of all of those people and all of their profiles so you can get to know each other. But the most important thing to document about your people is their roles and their responsibilities. So what you're seeing here is a simple spreadsheet that I made last year as I was going through my own responsibilities in the business. So I have a process for how to capture what you do in the company. I'm going to share it with you. But the simple thing here is that all of my responsibilities are collected in one place. And then I start to highlight methodically the things that someone else could do, the things that over the next 3 or 6 months, I want to get out of my brain and off of my plate, delegated to someone else. So I call it your responsibility matrix. And again, it can be just a simple spreadsheet of what you do. In the worksheet, I've got a guide for this, but I'll talk you through the process. The first thing is to think through a time-based approach. What do I do every day in the company? What do I do every week, every month, every quarter, every year? And so that could be every day you're opening up a physical location. Every day you're processing through your email. Every day you're looking for checks to deposit. Every week you're filing reports. You're running payroll. Every month, you're having certain management meetings. Every quarter, you're maybe doing paying a sales tax or having quarterly planning. And every year, you might have a strategic activities or customer visits or something that you do. And so go through every day, week, month, year, and write down what you do. The next one, your last 2 weeks of sent email. So this is a little trick I use. If you use email in your business, go into your sent email folder and pick the messages you've sent and scroll through the last 2 weeks. And this shows you the messages that you've actually replied to, the ones you've engaged with, the ones you've sent yourself, and the conversations that you're having in your business. And that stuff is packed with responsibilities of what you do in the company. After that, a calendar review. So you all probably keep some form of calendar. If you go back through a month in your calendar, you can see all the appointments, the meetings, the phone calls that you had. Those are responsibilities of you. And then any other applications you use. So if you use a project management tool or a task management tool, look at all of the completed tasks, and that will show you what you're actually working on in the business. If you have Slack or Teams or some other communication tool, scroll back through the last few conversations. And again, we're just trying to harvest or collect all of your responsibilities in the business. So we would normally take a break if we were together and using my worksheet to do this. So I won't ask you to do this now. You can do this after the fact, but in just a couple minutes of brainstorming, of thinking through what do I do in the business, you'll come up with 10, 20, 30, 40 different responsibilities that you have in the business. And so all of those responsibilities are the raw material, the outline for what would eventually become documented processes, the things that you would write down. And what I would ask you to do is to share this exercise with all of your employees and ask them to do the same thing. Because if you can come up with 10 or 20 responsibilities in 5 minutes, imagine how many responsibilities you could collect from your entire team if you give them the exercise. So within 24 hours, you could have hundreds of these responsibilities, which is the first stage to which ones we need to delegate or which ones we need to document. Okay, next I'll go to your policies. So again, policies, I think of sometimes as red tape. I'm not sure if you have this phrase, but it's bureaucracy, compliance. It feels like as entrepreneurs, policies can constrain us. And most of us started our companies because we don't like rules and we don't like policies. But the fact is, every business needs some form of policy. So we have a core value at Trainual: no red tape. It's actually on my cup here. And we don't like policy, as more than any other company, any other entrepreneurial EO company. But I had this experience, and I'll share it with you quickly. When I first started Trainual, we had one developer, one engineer, who was building the application for us. And I got a call one weekend while I was at a resort with my family. My kids were swimming in this pool, and I got a call, and I picked up the phone, and it was my employee's wife. And she was frantic. I could hear her voice was trembling. And she said that they were on vacation out on the West Coast here in California. And her husband, our developer, started coughing up blood. And he had a lung issue that sent him to the emergency room in the hospital. He went into a coma, and he was in the intensive care unit for 41 days. And so during that time, it was an incredibly stressful time for his family. And what she was calling me for was to understand our policies around the situation. Did we have short-term disability? How would we support him during that time? Would his job be there for him when he came back? Did she need any paperwork? And that created more stress for her because we didn't have those things figured out in advance. And so policies in your business are things that you can do to reassure your employees so that they're ready for those situations. Now, policies can be legal. I know we're all in different countries, and so every country has different legal requirements for doing business. They can be about the benefits that you offer, and when people are eligible to receive those benefits. And then they could be just cultural norms. What is okay and not okay based on your rules? How do you want your people to behave at your business? A lot of businesses have different cultures, different styles. And if we don't write down those rules explicitly and share them with our teams, then when they break those rules, it's difficult to hold them accountable. And so writing down these rules in your business is setting the right expectation so that they behave like you want them to behave. So again, in the worksheet that I sent, I'll paste the link one more time for anyone new that came in. The worksheet that's in the chat, there is a page in there that has a few dozen different policies, different things that you could consider writing down about your business. We have templates for a lot of those things if you're interested. But what I would ask you to do is just pick one or two things off that list that you can work on with your team. Circle them, highlight them, and take those away as this is a policy we really should have in our business on whether people can use phones or not at work, on dress code and what we expect of them, on the hours that they work, on how they operate if they're working remotely. Those are all policies that you come up with. So take a look after the presentation is fine and just circle a couple of those things. So the lesson here again is that situations that require policies will happen in our businesses, just like big storms or hurricanes. They're every season, these things happen and they're unavoidable, but you can prepare for them. You can make sure you have the infrastructure to sustain when one of these happens. Okay, the last one here, processes. So remember that big stack of responsibilities that we talked about a little bit ago? Responsibilities, again, are the raw material for what will become processes. So if I expect you every day, every week to process payroll, it's one of your responsibilities, then there is a instruction set, a procedure on how to process payroll. And maybe if you're the one that's doing it and you don't need to get that out of your head, then that's not what you work on. But if you hire someone, an accountant, that you want to hand that responsibility off to, you need to give them the instruction set. So again, where should we start? What are the processes that we should start with first? I would remind you again of the ROI chart. What affects the most people? And in terms of processes, the thing that affects the most people are these three things. Number one, what is done most often in your business? Number two, what is done by the largest number of people in your business? And number three, what are you handing off next? What is the responsibility you're delegating that you need to prepare for? So in my business, in my video company, what was done most often was shipping these videos, packaging and shipping these videos, tens of thousands of videos around the world. And you could imagine that if that was done incorrectly over and over and over again, it would be a nightmare for the business. It would cause customer support issues. It would drive refunds. It would be a difficult thing to manage. And so in our business, this is what was done most often. So this is what we documented very near the beginning. We talked about how do you actually print the DVDs out of the machine? How do you put the labels on them? How do you put the covers in the case? How do you put it in the envelope? How do you print a shipping label? How much postage do you need to send to different areas? And that entire process was documented as one of the first things so that we could hire people for the lowest wage from interns or students to do that kind of work. Number two, what is done by the most people? So if any of you have a brick and mortar establishment or a retail establishment, maybe you have a cash register. When you have employees that work in a store, they all need to know how to use the cash register to check someone out. So it's a shared responsibility. So I'm sure all of you have something like that in your business, shared responsibilities. At Trainual, when we started doing sales demos, when we had one sales rep, she came up with the demos and did it the best way she could. When we had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 sales reps, they all started doing things a little bit differently. And so, of course, they had different close rates. So the thing we focused on, as that was done by more people, is what is our best practice for doing sales demos? And we recorded it. We documented it with video and with text, and we shared it with everyone to train them on it to make sure they knew how to do it. So done by the most people, this is all about the consistency of how things are done in your business. And then finally, handing off hats. So one analogy that we use a lot is that in a growing business, you wear a lot of hats. Every hat is a different role that you have in the company. And slowly, little by little, you start to take those hats off and hand them to other people. So this is Damon John from a show we have, Shark Tank, maybe you've heard of, and Montel Jordan, which maybe you know the hit. I'm pretty sure it was an international hit. This is how we do it. So it's that song that's like, this is how we do it. So we love that song at Trainual because it's all about process. So we had the two of them in an advertisement talking about taking off the hats in your business. And I'll just play it right.
When I started my business, I wasn't just wearing every hat. I was literally making every hat. I would make them myself in my mother's living room. Then I'd hit the streets to sell them. I'd sell 1 here, 2 there, until I found my influencers. First, it was club bouncers, bar promoters. Then it was hip-hop artists like LL Cool J, Beyonce, The Fresh Prince. But more sales meant more financing to worry about. How was I going to fund the growth, finance purchase orders, secure distribution, and hire a team?
Damon, you can't be the business. You've got to build the business. This is how you do it.
Build a business that can scale beyond you. Make a playbook and train your team with Trainual.
This is how you do it.
Need to hand off some. So handing off hats, as Damon talked about there, is about giving someone else those responsibilities in the business. And so as you get into writing your standard operating procedures, I want to leave you with a template that you can use to document every how-to in the company. So the perfect SOP template. So first, it starts with the process name, also the responsibility name, whatever it is. Then every responsibility, every process should have an owner. So who owns this? Not who owns the business, but who owns this process? Who do I go to for questions? And who's held accountable for making sure this is done right across the business? When was it last updated? The date that this was last updated. That's helpful to record so that you can process through all of your processes and say anything that hasn't been updated in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or 1 year. Let me see all those things so I make sure they're still accurate. Next, what tools do I need to get this done? This could be hardware tools. It could be software tools like applications, like passwords, URLs, websites. It could be templates for documents or presentations or proposals. So those are all tools needed to get this done. What is the frequency that we do this thing? Is it a as needed process, or is it every Monday at 9 a.m.? What is the time estimate? Should this take 5 minutes if it's done right, or should it take 5 months? That's very different. The context is the why. Why do we do this process, this thing at our business? And why does it matter for the other people in the business? And then finally, your steps. Step 1, log into this website. Step 2, click this button. Step 3, scroll down to the page and type in this information. That's the sequence of information. And that's probably the thing that most of us know how to do, but we forget the context and everything above that, which is so crucial when we're sharing information with our people. Again, on this process template here, in the worksheet, the download that I sent, there is a blank template that you can use if you're just getting started, or we have templates like that on our website as well. And then finally, a word on maintenance. In the same way that you need to maintain any kind of electronics or a vehicle, you need to maintain your playbook. So this is not something that you will write and get to 60, 70, 80%, and then it just stays that way forever. This is something that you need to constantly be looking at. And so the best ways that I've found to keep your playbook up to date is, number 1, update it every time you hire a new person, if that's practical in your business. Or number 2, set reminders for every quarter for all of your people to update what they own, update all the processes that they own in the business. So it's an easy way for you to share some of that accountability and make sure that the content, the documentation stays up to date in your company. All right, last little bit here, just to close the loop on my story with my video business. So when I started the business, those were the big over-the-shoulder cameras. And by the time I sold the business, everyone was filming HD video on their mobile phones, their smartphones. A lot was changing in the company. And I had the opportunity to say, okay, this will shift to being an online, on-demand, live streaming business. Do I want that? As an entrepreneur, as a person, is that what I want to spend my time doing? And what I decided for me is that the blueprint for my life was not another 10 years of video production. I wanted something different. I wanted to shift gears. And so documentation was the way that I did that. It was the way that I wrote down the last few responsibilities that I had in the company so that I could shift from being the president to just being an owner of the business. I ended up promoting my director of operations. He took over all of the responsibilities that I previously had. We opened up a new office, hired more employees, and a year later, I was able to sell the company because it was a turnkey kind of operation and I wasn't in the day-to-day. So for you, this may be about exiting your business. This may be about scaling your business, opening more locations that all operate consistently. But whatever it is about, it's important to know that getting into this exercise. What is your why? Why would you document this? and share that with your people. Explain that this is why we're doing this work. With that, I will pause here. And if you want more information on the book, it's thebusinessplaybook.com, or you can start building your own playbook. You can check out Trainual, a ton of free templates and everything there. But most importantly, I just would love to connect with you all, stay in touch. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, or the social media places, or there's my email. I'll pause there and we can just have a conversation around getting your business out of your brain with any questions you have. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I've got my first question is I've tried to do a lot of policy and processes manual, but it seems to be quite a heavy work to do. Is it yourself that is the owner who does it, or you delegate it to each people who writes it? Because when it's not written in the same language, and it's quite complicated.
Yeah, so I think it is a crowdsourced effort. So the owner, unless you have a very small company of 1, 2, 3 people, the owner most likely doesn't know how to do everything and doesn't know the best way that everything is done. And so I think the best way to complete your playbook is first to ask everyone to write their own responsibilities and to document their own processes. And then only second, do you take a pass through everyone's content and start to add some unified voice and tone to everything. But most people never get as far as even collecting it all in one place. And so I wouldn't let the sounding different be a blocker for you to get the work done. So it's a team effort. Get everyone's content in there. Start with responsibilities of who does what. Look at the few things that we actually need to fix that are inconsistent and we want to work on, or that we do so much of in the business, or that we need to delegate pretty soon. Work on those processes first. And then you can have after the fact, someone go back. Now in a software like ours, we also have some ways to restrict the formatting so that everything at least looks the same colors, the same fonts, the same styles. So that's something you can put in place as a style guide. But everything's going to sound a little different with everyone doing it. As long as it's in one place and done, that's the important thing.
Thanks. And how long should this process be? It's an ongoing process?
The process of documentation, or how long should one process be?
No, that is to gather the information and start really putting it into place.
I think most businesses can put this in place, largely within 1 quarter. And so this can be a 3-month kind of initiative at your business to, again, work on our profile, our orientation, then organize all of our roles and responsibilities, our people, make sure we have a good handbook in place with our policies, and then ask your people to start contributing their processes, their best practices. Most of that can happen in a 3-month period if it's a priority for your business. But then it will never be completely done. Like I mentioned, you'll always, every quarter, be revisiting those materials, deleting some that don't matter anymore, putting new things in, and revising others. How else can I help?
Any more questions from the audience? Safa?
I think it's all clear. I've been having a look at your page as well, Trainual. Maybe if you can explain about the what else can Trainual help us with. So if I will go and try to take the free trial for this, can I assign somebody from my team? Can I transport? What other activities I can shift to Trainual as well?
Yeah, sure. So I have. Let me see if this is in here.
You're sharing the screen of, you're sharing your screen. Yeah.
1 second here. So this is just a quick look at what the platform looks like. And so again, within it, you can outline everything about your company's history, your products, your services. You can build a directory for all of your people and an org chart and list out their roles and responsibilities for each of those roles. Then as you create responsibilities, you can link that to a process or how to do the thing. You can put all of your policies or use our templates for policies that we've already written that you can just modify for your business. And then you organize all the material by department. So our sales processes, our marketing processes. I know that was a really quick video, but that's kind of what you do inside the platform. Another thing that is new and useful is we just rolled out a way to publicly share any processes that you have. And so if you have contractors that you want to share material or training with, if you have other entrepreneurs, friends in this group that you want to say, here's how we do this, now you can add it to your account. I'm happy to share any of our processes if you have a specific thing you're working on in your business, because I think that's what we do as EO members, right? We help each other with the things that some of us are good at and some of us are still learning. And so if you have specific questions, Safa, just let me know what you're working on in your business and I'll help how I can.
I think it's clear, Chris. You're going to go and play with the software going forward.
Great, thank you. All right.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Brilliant talk. I think all of us learned a lot from it. My video is off, so you can't see me.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm sure we are at different stages of learning this, and either at some stage 5, 6, 7, 8, wherever, and all want to go up to 10 like you. So hopefully we'll get there one day. So thanks a lot. Really learned a lot. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you. I hope the main takeaway is that it doesn't have to be so difficult. That, you know, in our businesses, everything we learn through EO is little building blocks of creating a more mature, more stable business. And to eventually exit a company, or, you know, as some of you are even in that number 3 where you could just travel the world for years and your business would be fine. To get to that point requires putting the people and the processes in place to get the work done and to continue making money to keep it a healthy business. And so it's you know, it's something I've been working on for years, and I'm excited to now help others do it.
Thanks a lot. I do travel the world, but not more than a month and a half, 2 months. 2 years is a bit pretty long stretch. I don't know what will I do for 2 years.
You could come hang out with me in Arizona.
Yeah, I will do. We'll surely do. We'll play golf together.
That sounds good.
Thanks,
Anything
Chris.
else? Chris, just wanted to say fantastic presentation. Lots and lots of nuggets. It was interesting how simple the welcome message, you know, welcome to the company message is. And we've had a challenge with onboarding, especially since COVID. And this was a fantastic one that you know, it's a big takeaway among others that we're definitely going to implement. I'll do a quick short video. But thanks again.
That's great. Well, if you'd like to share it with me, I'd love to see it when you make your video. Just email it to me.
Awesome. Will do.
Perfect.
I am having an idea. Yes, Chris, has any of the EO board used it to document the best practices that we do as board members, since we have a few members of the board sitting. Is that an idea? Has it been done before?
Yes. Yeah, several chapters do that. And I'm happy to give a free account to your chapter board as well. So if you're interested in that, just let me know.
Absolutely.
Are you coming to the MEPA Unleashed in Jordan? Alex,
yes.
Invite him there.
Yes, sorry. Let me see you. I'm adding myself the spotlight. Yes. What are you saying?
I'm saying, why don't you invite Chris to speak on the MEPA Unleash? All the boards will be there in Jordan.
I'll be very happy to. We are missing our president here, but I think that Eric is here. Eric, can we hear from you? Can we have Chris?
Yeah, I think we let me go to the board and see the new the organizers and the MEPA region what they think, and I think it's a great suggestion. Thank you, Nuruddin.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris,
will you be in the region?
It would be. Would you be willing to talk? I think it's on the 14th of May. Around these dates, 14 and 15, if I'm not mistaken.
13, 14, 15th of May.
But I'm not
in
calendar.
No, that's the MEPA Unleash is 12th and 13th, I think.
Oh, the MEPA Unleashed, okay.
Yeah, I don't know the calendar. I'm not party to it, so I need to check it out.
Mm.
I have a meeting with my assistant right after. So I delegated my calendar. I don't even do that. So I have to talk to her. But I'll look into that. Thank you.
I'm not party to the organization also, so I need to check it out.
Mm.
Okay.
Is it a human being? I thought it was AI already.
No, I still like working with humans.
Yeah. So we're almost done. Thank you everyone for coming here. You'll see in the chat box, Alex has already shared the survey. We love your feedback, and so that we can get better. And I would like also to thank Chris for this fantastic presentation. I think we all love it. And my biggest takeaway for today is get my processes together and the responsibility of everyone so that I can know what to delegate. And I will start it. So I've got three months, 1 quarter to do it. So let's try.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Alex.